So here we are, joined by one of the stars of the weekend from the 7-4-5 game. It's our very own Dominic Waldock. Woo! So, Dom, for those people out there who may not know about the 7-4-5 game, can you just briefly give a quick overview of what the weekend was all about?
Well, we got together on the Saturday, had a good training session with the Leaguey boys, and sort of learned the rules.
Yes.
Learned how to tackle in rugby league and how to ruck in rugby league, which is very different to union. And then we had a good night out on the Saturday, good bit of bonding.
Was it a short night out, long night out?
Well, so the length of the night out was different for different lads.
Yeah.
And a few of the league lads pushed through to the morning.
Yeah, early hours, we'll call it.
Early hours, which I think actually gave us a bit of an edge in the game.
It's safe to say we were having our bacon sandwiches as they strolled in through the hotel doors. So.
Exactly. But no, fantastic night, fantastic day, and then obviously the Sunday was a brilliant occasion. Just an absolute privilege to be part of such a special day with some special people. And I thought all the union lads are like I was very familiar with all the union lads, and they're all really, really good guys, and was excited to see them. But just brilliant to see the league lad, like being the caliber of the league boys as well, just like. Brilliant men, brilliant guys who were really interested in us, wanted to have a good time, wanted to put on a show and respect the three brilliant men that we were celebrating.
It's a great way to summarise it. I'd say it's safe to say we probably knew the league boys better than they knew us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean we were on Saturday night. We were starstruck by some of those names, like Keith Senior. We couldn't get over the size of Keith Senior. Like we googled him, didn't we? And we knew he was going to be big, and then we got there.
120 kilograms of pure.
His biceps weighed about 20 kilograms.
Pure Leeds beef.
And definitely there was a dish. The league boys have definitely taken the gym more seriously than the union boys since retiring. Like there's all us union lads. I've been working on my noodle neck all last week. I've got that a little bit bigger, but like the rest of me is just
they're just sort of not withering, but they look like they've they've embraced the gym more since finished playing, didn't they?
Oh,
they were all in
exploded.
fantastic shape.
Keith Senior's exploded, and like
48 years old. What a man!
Oh yeah, and what shape he's in. But what a gentleman as well. Absolutely, like what a brilliant man. Like really, really great to chat to.
It would have been easy, I think, for the Saturday in particular. It would have been easy for two teams to get together, do niceties, handshake, but then when we got to the pub, etc., split and spend time with their old friends. We spent time with our old friends. Yeah. But for people at home, it wasn't like that at all, was it? It was very integrated, very sort of throughout the whole process. Breakfast was spent integrating and discussing what's going to happen later on in the day. Can you also we got one of our old friends got a new team nickname, didn't he, as well on the night?
Yeah. So Joe Simpson is now Keith Jr.
Yeah,
so you got Keith Senior, and then Joe Simpson.
Which made everyone's weekend, didn't it? The idea of them two together.
That did tickle quite a few people.
And some of the some different characters, wasn't there? Some different characters that I think a lot of the union lads wouldn't have come across before, but it was embraced brilliantly, and everything about it was pretty special. Can you just quickly talk about the rules as well? Because I feel like that's where the union boys really felt like they got stitched up, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, essentially you're playing rugby league
against brilliant rugby league players.
Some generational players of Super League. Like if you're going to put together a Super League team of like the 2000s, 2010s, we probably had most of the team on the pitch. Yeah. Like Danny Maguire, Adrian Morley, Ben Westwood, Keith Senior.
I think it's safe that Danny Maguire could still be playing, couldn't he? The way he was, the way he moved, the way
so silky on the ball.
I actually spoke to him about training at Castleford. He's Castleford Tigers head coach, isn't he? And said like, do you do a bit with the players? And he did say he doesn't want to make them feel bad. Doesn't want to drop confidence of the players, so he doesn't get involved that often. He is still that good, isn't he?
Yeah. No, it was brilliant.
Well, one of the things that Luke came to see, and I think he touched on, I think he's going to come and join us a bit later on, but how incredible it was that these fans turned out to see players that, but it's amazing to see how long they've stayed at their individual clubs for. We were looking up numbers last night, weren't we, over dinner, of how long these players had spent at their individual clubs. Yeah. Some have done 20 years. The majority of them have been one club men right throughout. Yeah. And they were loved by the fans up there, weren't they?
They were, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why we got such an incredible crowd. Like 10,000 to across, a game like that.
To a cold, wet Sunday.
It was raining. The weather did its best to keep people away, but people turned out in their thousands, and it's like Keith Senior, like, what, 400 games for?
Yeah, something like that. Incredible.
It was just extraordinary looking at some of the CVs and how much rugby they played for their clubs. They obviously mean a huge amount to the people of Leeds and that area.
And on our side, it was good to see some of our old pals still got it. Danny, your old mate Sips still had it in abundance, didn't he? Said he's in 18 years of playing, he's never given a hospital pass and never thrown a forward pass, and he did both of those things in the first 40 minutes. So it was good to see. But he looked like he'd never stopped playing, didn't he? He still looked fantastic on the ball.
He did look very good on the ball and like opened up the league defence, like first play of the game with Tom Johnson steaming through the middle. That was a good moment. But
if you'll get a chance to watch it, Tom Johnson, Danny, very normal Danny, straight to the line, puts this perfect pass in front, opens the league defence, and Tom Johnson went 60 yards and then walked straight off, pulled his calf, didn't he? So that was sort of the level we were at. Boys still had it, but didn't quite have it what they used to have.
Yeah, but what a 2 minutes that was.
Well, it was faultless, wasn't it?
He's probably one of the best plays of the day.
It was brilliant. And then we got to see the likes of Richard Hibb. I was supposed to just be coaching with myself on the touchline. Got to half time, and you could just see he's itchy, and he came up quietly to me and said, "Do you reckon I could just put a pair of boots on?" And old Hibbs went rumbling through, didn't he? Made a couple of tackles with his plastic shoulders, and he was back off again.
And I think that was just a reflection of the day. Like it would, he couldn't keep himself off the pitch because, firstly, like the occasion and the game that was being put out there was like he could see how much fun it was to be part of, the respect both teams were playing to each other, but also, what we were playing for. Like Ed delivered that beautiful speech before the game, and I challenge anyone just to sit on the sidelines after hearing that.
It was you touched on Ed, obviously, with Rob not being there, with them both coming up with the game together. Ed was there to see it through, and I think it was a very special weekend for Ed in particular, wasn't it?
I think it was, and to see something like him and Rob had put together, and obviously Rob's sadly not with us now, but it's always a product of their thinking and their relationship. It was brilliant to realise that, and for him to. I thought I think the big thing he took from that was seeing the two groups of players come together and form, like, connect and put together that game out there, and I think he really appreciated that. Ed's a man who obviously loves rugby and appreciates, like, rugby's about relationships, about the people you meet, the friendships you build, and I think he was like proud of what he created in that group, putting that game together.
Well, it's a few very, very special men who can command sort of 60 people like that into a room together and have them on toe. Everything he said that day just had the emotion. I like you said before, I challenge anyone to not want to go on after hearing what he said. The journey he took us on with his speech in particular, I don't think he'd mind us saying it was quite a special occasion. So.
Very special.
And then obviously just briefly touch on how's the body feeling as well, because you must have done about 60 minutes.
Body's feeling good. I think there was a good, like, you come off the pitch, like, Iz asked me on the way home, how you feeling? I've said, I feel a bit sore, but a good level of sore. Yeah. Not like, this is really hurting, but I knew I'd been in a rugby match, but like not really hurting. I think so. It was good.
I think Caolan Luds, my new best friend, summed it up well. He sort of said, there was we had to get on the pitch and get off the pitch in the same way that we went up, but there was a respect levels to the fans that turned up to make sure it was an occasion. Yeah. And therefore you have to get to a certain level of physicality and intensity, and I think boys found that in a perfect level, didn't they?
They did, and I think he epitomised that for the league team, and then we had like Tom Youngs and Woody, like competitors going back at them, and I think the crowd appreciated that. They wanted to see collisions, and they got it.
There's a brilliant clip of Banners scoring, and just before it, Tom Youngs goes to clear a ruck, and there's a little tackle situation, and Youngs couldn't quite help himself because that's what he's made a career doing, just clearing rucks for fun.
He just ended up latching through, didn't he?
Even though nobody's clearing any rucks that day, Tom. But no, Dom, you deserve to feel those bumps and bruises. You were fantastic on the day. Thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on a brilliant weekend.
Oh, it's a privilege to be on Access.
Dominic Warlock, ladies and gentlemen.
Hang on a minute.
Thank you.
Hang on a minute, freaking out.
OT!
I've literally just got the call up and you're already clapping off. Yeah, I know. I even got the 745 5 hat on it, yeah. Yeah, that's just a lovely little Oxford number.
And have you any sort of? Did you see Dom at all staying square in the outside channels?
I'd say what it was. It was a master show in getting in position, so you don't have to make the tackle.
Did he?
It was getting in the eye line, sending the 10 back in.
Was
unbelievable.
Was it all
defenders
things
don't make tackles, That's what.
That's it.
He's the side. We touched on the size of him now compared to Keith Senior.
Keith Senior opposite me, 125 kilograms. That's me about 85 at the moment.
They're two centres that have retired, but they've gone different ways.
Different ways. I've gone down the running path. He's gone down the weights.
It was the opposite of when he was playing with Sips. This time round, rather than Dom having to make all Sips tackles, it was the other way. Dom was getting in line, and they were going back in, and Sips was like, "What's going on?"
We saw that. We did see Danny make a hat trick of tackles at one point, didn't we?
Incredible.
It was honestly incredible. It was a triple effort from him. Yeah, he really got stuck in.
I wish that was there 10 years ago when I was there.
All of our shoulders would be feeling better if that was the case. Was Dom staying square? Everything that he touches on as defence coach?
Staying square and then shutting it off.
Yeah, you're happy with what you saw?
Any feedback on?
Just Dom. If I could.
I mean, it was a different style of game, wasn't it? So, but no, I was very impressed. I thought,
One thing we've not touched on is if you just a bit of probably try scoring feedback really for Dom.
I know.
Yeah, did you get on this?
No, got held up over the line.
Oh, was it?
I got trapped.
You can't
You've
do that.
got to find a way, haven't you, Ollie?
Well, I think the league team had obviously been seeing some of our trap tackle work that we've been working, and then they trapped me on the line.
I could hear them screaming "trap," on the sideline. I could hear Keith Senior saying it, "trap, trap, trap."
And what about as a sort of a day experience? Because obviously, I think in order to take this further forward and make it into an annual occasion, which is essentially what every player there, and afterwards when you sat around having a bit, everybody was saying the same thing. League, union, they said this has to happen again. There's no two ways about it. It has to happen again. I think the key would be to get players as they start to finish their careers to join in and almost make it that way. So the legends carry on playing as well and being involved in it, but we need a new generation of players to sort of retire and take that on. Was that something that you'd
step right forward?
I mean, where were you, mate?
Potentially,
prime candidate.
Potentially,
you've literally just taught yourself in to a gig next year.
It feels like next year I should probably partake in it. But is that something that when you saw that, in years to come, you've got another 15 years left to play in, but would you like to see this sort of thing build into that? The moment you finish, I'm going to have a crack at playing in the...
Yeah, I genuinely was actually thinking after doing it, going to see it, it would be an awesome thing to do. Like, obviously having that association with Ed and things, but it's almost like a good thing to come out of an awful thing. We don't really have that much interaction with the league guys at all, and it's all, like we were saying, it's a completely different sport really. But to be able to then go and meet all these guys that are like legends within their field and play against them, it just seemed really cool. I was ready to freaking put my boots on, but I think that is obviously the dream, and hopefully that will manifest. So yeah,
I think from everybody that was involved, it felt that way, and everyone you spoke to on the day, it certainly felt like it's definitely got some legs, and hopefully, we never know, could be down here next year, Leeds the following year, and start to alternate like that. But the Rugby League boys certainly said, can't be having it up north every time because we want weekend away. That's translation. We'll put some subtitles under that, but they said basically they'd like a weekend down here next year. So I think it's got to happen now, hasn't it? And give us a chance of getting the trophy back for Ed as well.
Yeah, 100%. We need to see Keith Junior running around again.
He's already explained Simo's new nickname.
That's his nickname. He's Keith now.
That's enough, isn't it? He's Keith Junior. Well, Ollie Thorpe, thank you very much for your support and heading up to Leeds on the train. And Dom, again, thank you very much for your efforts over the weekend. Fantastic for an amazing cause. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
So, from Dom and Ollie to another massive game this Friday night, we're joined by Lewis Ludlow and Caolan.
Englefield.
Nah.
Got it. You definitely forgot it.
But you're just known as Caolan. You're like Ronaldo, aren't
Englefield
you?
on the back of his shirt?
Nobody you ever speak to calls him Englefield. They call you Caolan.
True.
He needs a second name because he's different, isn't he? Exactly. Although I do owe you an apology, obviously getting your name wrong last week.
I didn't hear, mate.
For the
Yeah,
Pirates game, I
heard.
apologise about that. It's an easy
fine.
mistake that's been made by plenty of...
You made up for it with your intro when I came on
No,
the pitch.
it's an easy mistake that's been made by plenty of us in the media.
Yeah.
See that I did that?
All of you commentators.
Us in the media, the likes of me, Nick Mullins, we've all made the mistake.
it's
In fact, he's probably never made the mistake. It wouldn't be
think he
him.
has, no.
Caolan, we're going to start with you.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting season for you, hasn't it? If we're being completely honest, because you obviously arrived, had a brilliant season last season, and then probably not as much rugby as you would have hoped for at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
But how has that been for you so far? How's the addition of Thomas? You can be as honest as you like.
In some ways, very good, but in some ways, incredibly frustrating. I think I finished last season very well. Obviously, I think that was probably my first proper season in men's rugby, having actually been given sort of a good chance to play. And then coming in this year, obviously he's come in and I think he's shown that he's probably one of, if not the best scrum half in the Prem. So in that aspect, watching him every day in training or watching him play, I think I've learnt a lot in the 6 weeks that we've actually played games. But on the other hand, as I said, it's playing a lot last year. It's been a bit difficult this season, but I think I've done well to manage my expectations and know what role I have for the team this year is a bit different to the one I had last year.
It's hard. I think we've both probably been in a similar situation at times in our career, and it's that situation of people keep saying to you, "Oh, it's going to stand you in better stead," and you don't really want to hear that at this moment, do you? But almost like the belief that it will, being in and around brilliant players, is only going to make you into a better player. Is there anything that you've seen or you start to pick up from Thomas that you say that's something I'm going to start to add into my own game and sort of use it as a really beneficial situation?
I think the support game, I think that was never or has never been really a massive strength of mine. And then he's sort of come in and we've changed the way we've played. And as you've seen, he's either linking up and scoring tries or linking up and assisting boys. He's always on the inside of a line break, and I think that's something I've always struggled with. So just the picking of lines and actually being physically fit enough to actually do it. I don't think I've ever been physically fit enough to do it because I don't think I've ever thought that was needed in my game. But especially with the way we've been playing this year, the nines have got to be incredibly fit. So actually being in a position to do it and then actually seeing it, I think I've had a few opportunities to do it this year, and I've put it into my game, which I'm quite happy about. So that's probably the main thing, yeah. Because
people often don't realise that you think people just say it's a knack, or people get into good situations. Try scoring is a genuine skill. Being in and around the ball when those things happen, people aren't just there. No. That's a skill of reading the game, and so I think it's amazing that you've managed to take something like that from Thomas, just from watching him as well, and hopefully when you get back into the shirt that you were wearing, then you put it into practice. Luds, what would you say? Seeing that sort of situation, have you been able to pass on a little bit of advice to someone like Caolan, because it's happened numerous times to you over the last 10 years or so, hasn't
one
it?
thing, you're taking it incredibly well. Like, there's certain players that would go head down and...
Name them.
You. There's certain players who would definitely go head down and sort of shy away from it. But I think, like you say, the role you've thought about in the team and how that becomes such a big thing. And there are differences. Like Caolan's definitely got certain strengths that Thomas hasn't, and vice versa. Like if Caolan's on the pitch with 5 to go and we need a 55, 60 metre penalty, he's the man to do it. So I think there's a lot to learn, and there's like you say, there's plenty of players over the years that I've learned off and tried to do different bits, and I think you find out a sort of a unique style for yourself that ends up being more beneficial for you in the long run than trying to be exactly like them, because you don't want to be the same. So you want to have those little differences, and that's what ultimately makes a good squad is having people that can do the same jobs but ever so slightly different.
And you probably have to give him a bit of a confidence boost, obviously, because nobody wants to be in that Welsh camp at the moment. So when he gets back, just arm round.
Got the cuddles. Yeah.
And hope for there's somebody behind the cameras hoping for it's not going to be 14 from 14. Isn't that right, Hayden? Is that right? 14 in a row. 14. So just an arm round. An arm round them if you get a chance to speak to them this week. Moving on. Looking to this Friday, a massive game. Something that obviously kick-started the season a little bit last year, didn't it? Boys enjoyed it. Boys enjoyed getting their hands into the knockout knockout situation. Knockoffs, no.
Knockoffs? No, not
You're a
like
knockoff.
You're wearing
got
knockoffs.
themselves into the knockout situations of the Prem
Yes.
Cup. And this is a big game, isn't it? Obviously,
That's huge, yeah.
everyone's had a bit of off time now. Exeter come back in. They are desperate to try and use what we did last year.
Yeah,
They will
and
want
they've come out and said it
Yeah.
in the press that
They will wanna use
they're
this.
going to want to win the Prem Cup.
Yeah.
And like you say, they actually did us over in the Prem here last year as well, which we spoke about today in terms of how much that sort of, they put a lot of points on us and kind of like disrespected us a bit afterwards by saying that coming to Kingsholm, that young team shouldn't be scared to come to places like Kingsholm and win because they can do results like they've just done. And that's we've sort of gone back through that today, and that's the little sort of chip on our shoulder that we need to go out there and be. We're desperate to retain what we've got, and we're desperate to keep going at home and keep playing the style we are. So we want to make sure that we go out there and impose our game onto them and sort of send them back instead of not beating a Premiership team.
And what do you reckon? First Friday night back at Kingsholm. How exciting for the group who's not seen it? There'll be players who are playing this week who've never seen that before. What sort of like buzz does that give to the camp?
Oh yeah, it's massive. I think I remember my first one last year against Cast. It was about 2 degrees, and like you walk out an hour and a half before kickoff, and the shed's packed. Like the atmosphere is amazing. As Lud said, I think it's really easy for us to then go out and make it really difficult for another team. I don't think we need any more motivation to go out there and put a load of energy, start really fast, and make it really hard for the other team. And just we know what Exeter are going to bring. They're going to keep hold of the ball for a long period of time. They're going to be physical. But I think we've done enough to combat that, and I think we'll be all right for it come Friday.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm moving like this because it's also freezing in here, and I'm getting dripped on with water.
You've not just trained in the snow, bud.
It's Baltic, isn't it?
You're in a warm office upstairs.
It's absolutely.
We're rolling around in 2 inches of snow out here.
It's
They put the sprinklers on afterwards to try and move the snow and that froze the snow even more.
That's what you deserve.
Which is great.
That's
yeah.
what you deserve. Friday night. Get yourselves along to watch these two and everybody else take on Exeter. Looking forward to see you there for the Prem Cup. You'll notice there's been no Gloucester Hartpury again this week, but that's because they're back at Kingsholm next week for a massive... Dripped on again. So no Gloucester Hartpury again this week, but they are back next week for a rematch of last year's final against Bristol Bears. So we'll have everything from inside the GH camp next week.